Maximizing your grain drying setup, doing sometimes unconventional things. That's what we're talking about in this special episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
It's XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve podcast, cutting your learning curve and improving your farming operation every week. This episode of the Cutting the Curve podcast is brought to you by BASF, creating innovation to help farmers do the biggest job on earth. And now, let's get ready to learn with your host, Damian Mason.
Hey there, welcome to another fantastic episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve. I've got a good one for you today. I've got Jelleberg with Superior Grain Systems, and I've got our friend Johnny Verell here. And we're talking about drying wheat. Rody and I were talking the other day, and we had a call, and he said, you know what? I've got guys up here in the upper Midwest. They're going to use their grain setup to run barley through it. That's something we don't typically do. We've got wheat problems. We've got some potential grain condition issues because of the humidity. And Johnny Verell says, you know what? I'm drying wheat this year. So why are you drying wheat, Mr. Verell? And is this, when most people think about their grain setup, obviously they think about bushels. They think about running as many bushels through the dryer. We covered that, but we always think about corn. We don't think about putting wheat through this system. Why are you doing it?
Yeah, so for us, depending on the year, we run the wheat through the system. And then this year we had so much rain throughout the whole growing season there. We didn't want to run into any issues during harvest because it was already kind of a fragile crop, so to say. So we started shelling wheat as hard as we could, and we started drying the wheat. Wheat's fairly easy to dry for us. We have a lot of outside temperatures. Ambient temperatures already high. So we actually just started drying wheat. It allows us to plant our second crop of beans behind the wheat too, maybe a week earlier. So there's multiple reasons we were doing it. We were doing it to keep the quality of the wheat up and to be able to plant the beans a little bit earlier.
Right. Planting the beans earlier for you. You're in Western Tennessee. For somebody that's never listened to this before, is it that important? You're not up against a hard frost typically before bean maturation. So can you justify it just on the bean thing?
Yeah, they usually say about a bushel a day once we're getting into June there that we're losing, half a bushel to a bushel a day. So that adds up. But also, when it rained during wheat harvest this year, we had just finished harvesting wheat when it rained. It rained for almost 2.5 weeks before we got back in the field. So we would have had rain on our crop for that long. Quality went down, test weight, all the toxins would have went up. So for us, we were able to get our crop out and, just blow through it, so to say, and knock it out.
We've been on this recording for a couple minutes, and Johnny hasn't brought up yet, he will, that he lost bushels this year because he came to my farm in March to record episodes of our hit show, The Granary, and he has to have somebody to blame. So he's been blaming me for making him come here and record episodes of The Granary that he didn't get out and plant stuff. And I don't think there's going to be a lawsuit, but I think there is going to be a demand for settlement.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to get it back. Don't worry. But the wheat was not hurt. That was just corn, though.
Rody, you brought up this topic. Again, I think anybody in the traditional grain belt thinks of, I've got a grain set up. I got this many bushels. I can dump this much at a time. And all they think about is running corn through there. And you said, this is a different year. For you, it's not the pressure in North Dakota or Minnesota, where a lot of your where you are. It's not that they're worried about putting in double crop beans because they don't do that, but usually don't think about running cereal grains through it. And you're talking about guys running cereal grains through it because of a completely different set of circumstances, disease risk, really, or grain condition, I should say.
It's the high humidity up here, especially, and we had a late season getting in, and then it started raining now since the end of June. It's been storms almost every weekend. And even this last weekend, we probably got another 2 inches over the weekend, kind of all around our area here. So guys are, talking about drying barley, which they normally don't do. But yeah, it's just a different season, and guys that don't normally dry wheat just because you try not to burn the excess propane and stuff unless you have to. But this year it's the humidity and just the conditions of getting in late it's going to be a tough season up here for us.
Let's talk about the money part of it, both of you. We're not exactly in any kind of commodity situation that you can be careless with money. So, Johnny, you're drying $5.60 wheat. I mean, if you put more than a dime a bushel into the drying, I think you're below break even.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just got to watch it, but also had a lot of people with test weights go from, 61, 62 pounds down to 52, 50 pounds through all that rain. So a dime to dry versus $1.52 dock, I'll take the dime all day long. And for us, kind of like what Rody was talking to, in the mornings we have to dry. By afternoon, our wheat's dry. We don't dry that wheat. So we kind of, it doesn't all run through the dryer. It's just that way we can start earlier and get over more acres every day. And the beautiful thing about the Superior dryer, the one that we're running, it's so versatile. We didn't have to do anything to it, but just turn the temperature down. There's nothing to change on the inside. I mean, you just basically just put into the dryer master display that you're drying wheat, and that was pretty much the setting we changed.
Yeah, I want to get into the setup and anything that a person listening to this needs to know. But back to the other part of it, you didn't dry afternoon harvested wheat commonly. You dried the stuff that got harvested in the first few hours of the day. Yeah,
so if it was over, say, 17%, 18%, we ran it through the dryer. If it was under that, we just put it straight in the bin. As we had wheat getting down 10, 11%, dry wheat's, in the 13s. So we were able to blend back out with that wheat too. So it just allowed us to get started earlier in the day, mainly like Rody's talking about when the moisture and humidity's high, which where we are if the humidity stays high. But,
And speaking of high humidity in Tennessee, which is more common than it would be, say, in North Dakota, where Rody's talking to us from, you couldn't do any of this with just air. You did have to put on the burners.
Yeah, we did turn on the burners, but you turn them way down. You can't dry wheat as fast as you can corn, or as hot as you can corn.
Right. So you're talking about it's on low, it's on simmer.
Yeah, about as low as it could go.
Rody, when you've got your people up there that are running barley through it, I don't know the prices of barley, but I'm doing what I can to support it. But I guess the part here is, what's your advice to those guys? It's the same thing here. Put it on low and try and get by with as little as you can.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's the nice thing about what that mixed flow system is. You can run them. We had guys last year that were running them. It was 95 degrees outside, and one guy wanted to run it at 100-degree plenum temperature. And I'm like, how can you, just go down as low as you can go, and it sat there and idle at about 105. So, I mean, you can turn them all the way down where they just barely above ambient. So it just that little bit of temperature rise is enough to take the humidity off take the moisture out.
You're adding a certain amount of extra handling. You talked about the dock. Does your grain, granted, you've got to do this like Rody's talking about to keep condition because you've got such moisture-induced problems with the grain. Do you have to do anything to make sure you're not damaging it so all of a sudden you're not hurting the conditions or anything special you got to do?
No, what we say is just watch your temperature and keep it low. With the mixed flow, the way it's mixing the wheat, you're not getting hot spots in it. It's a consistent temperature going through that wheat, and a lot of airflow is key on wheat. Wheat's real easy to dry because it's a soft shell. It's not like corn or soybeans. It's pretty easy to dry. Very efficient.
Biggest thing would be your system. If you pre-plan, we've talked about this before, pre-planning your system and making sure that whatever handling system you have in front of or behind the dryer is, handling that product gently, so the days of the, screw augers and stuff are kind of hopefully coming to an end, and guys are using more, en masse drags or legs, something that's not just hammering that product after you've spent all this time bringing it up to maturity and then beating the piss out of it.
Yeah. So on a money part, what's your other advice? I want to know about, besides keeping it low, is there anything else? Because obviously on these tight margins, you're talking about one extra step. There's a little bit more handling. There is a little bit more work here. And all of a sudden, we're also real close to break even on that. So I want you to give me any other things from the money standpoint. Before I do that, I want to remind you, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, we are talking to our friends at Superior Grain Equipment. If you have a growing operation, you must think about your grain handling setup. Superior Grain Equipment's grain storage systems are built to make your job easier and help your grain reach its full potential. From gentle mixed flow dryers to durable storage, get the flexibility to market your grain on your time. You can visit with the experts from Superior Grain Equipment at Farm Progress Show. That's coming up here at the end of August. Or you can visit them online anytime at superiorbenz.com. superiorbenz.com. From the money standpoint, John, you made a good point there. You said, "All right, if I lose test weight and condition, I'm talking about $1 or $1.50. Was it? I just threw the number out there, a dime. Is it really a dime that it cost you to dry your wheat?
Weight doesn't cost, just in gas cost was nothing like a dime. It's probably just 3 or 4 cents at the temperature we were running and the volume.
Okay.
It's very efficient. Corn for us is, in that 8-9 cent range, depending on the moisture coming in, but wheat wasn't. But, the other thing to throw out there about this, we got the cost of that equipment, but a lot of guys around us started rutting up fields and everything else because they didn't get the wheat out before it rained. We were just fortunate enough. So you got that aspect too, because we got to plant a crop right behind those combines. So
yeah,
just to give you an idea, we ran about 2/3 of our wheat crop through the dryer, and about a third of it did not go. So that tells you it's a lot of volume of a lot of our crop went through it this year.
By the way, this many, because somebody's sitting here running the numbers in their head, and maybe they are contemplating whether they need to upgrade their grain drying setup. Your setup, I've been there. If you're listening or watching this, you can go back and watch it. We've recorded stuff at Mr. Verell's grain setup. It's pretty cool. It's very educational. How many acres of wheat did you have in 2025?
We had right at 3,000 acres.
Okay, so 2,000 of them ran through the dryer, 1,000 of them did not. Is that what you just said?
Yes.
And your numbers were, are we talking 80 bushel, 90 bushel wheat? What'd you end up with?
Yeah, probably the mid-90s.
Mid-90s. Okay. So you're talking 300,000 bushels of wheat?
Yeah.
Okay. So 200,000 of them went through the grain drying setup without. And so when you start amortizing the cost of the equipment, that's the other thing, Rody, you start amortizing this over the number of acres and the number of bushels. Obviously, there's more than just the propane cost. But when you use this much, your per bushel amortization is also pretty insignificant, frankly.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, for us it is. I mean, just getting the crop out, no damage. Even if it saved us 50 cents a bushel average in dock on 200,000 bushel.
Yeah.
It did very well.
It's $100,000. And then, like you said, you also didn't tear up your fields. You were able to get through that. Of course, you don't know what the weather's going to do. When someone says, well, how the hell, he didn't know that there was going to be torrential downpours coming for a week after this, and that the neighbors ended up getting hung by. That's true.
Yeah. You just don't know. But that's why when the crop's ready, we get it out. And having a grain dryer that can handle any crop and pretty much any moisture, it's just as important to our farmers as our combine is.
Yeah, important. Rody, what advice do you give these people that are calling you up saying, "Hey, man, I've never actually run barley through my grain dryer. I've never run cereal grain through my grain dryer." What do they need to know?
If you've never run that type of product through the dryer, we're a pretty good resource. We've got customers out there that have done it. That if there's certain things that we don't, that's kind of outside of our realm of expertise, we've got resources with our own customer base to ask them, hey, I know that you guys have done this. Johnny would be a good example. What are you running for temps? What are you running for, air bushels? That we have resources at our fingertips to be able to rely on.
Anybody else? What else? We said barley and wheat. Is there anything else going through these dryers now that you wouldn't think of?
Up here, we've got canola. You start getting up in the northern part of North Dakota and Canada. There's a lot of canola that goes through, and that the tolerances have to be very, very tight. That's the biggest thing.
Because the seed is so small.
It flows like water. Yeah.
Right. So is that typical? They need to dry canola?
Some guys up here that are big canola growers do. I know 2 customers that we have up here, up in northern North Dakota. They're probably 20, 30 miles from the Canadian border. I think they do enough canola that they specifically bought the dryer to do canola. They don't run corn. It's canola and wheat.
Yeah, it's something you wouldn't even normally think about. I thought it came off. I thought it was like soybeans. I thought it came off and was just ready to go get made into oil. No?
I think a lot of it is, but I think there's, guys like in a situation like Johnny where they have so many acres of canola to get off that they're wanting to get it out and get it in the bins and in condition. So,
Johnny, final takeaway, final thought. Any mistakes? anything go wrong? Any big takeaways? Any lessons? Like, hey, the one thing I can tell you is boom.
Yeah, should have started earlier this year. No, I'd say always put a bigger dryer in than what you want to.
Yeah, I think you said that when we were.
Yeah. Never have a big enough dryer.
And from a standpoint of size, obviously there's multiple. Whatever size operation I guess you have, you've got a dryer set up for that, right? I mean, the point is, it's all about amortizing it over your acres and then making it make sense.
That's right.
All right, so Johnny's lessons are always put in a bigger dryer. Isn't that like also pole barns, tool sheds, whatever?
Everything needs to be bigger.
Always build
And
50%
dryer
bigger.
sheds.
What's that?
And your dryer control sheds.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. You ever notice those? Like sometimes people build them. I'm like, you've got $2 million of grain set up, and you've got your dryer control shed looks like a porta john out here. I'm like, for God's sakes, give yourself an extra 20 square feet. All right, excuse me. His name is Rody Jelleberg. He's with Superior. If you want to learn more about this, go to superiourbins.com and check it out. He was joined by Johnny Verell here with XtremeAg, who gave you your big points. Put the temperature as low as it'll go. Extends your harvest day, also extends your harvest season. And as he says, when it's time to get the crop out of the field, even if you're not following it with double crop beans, it probably sometimes is going to make you a lot of money because of test weight. Grain condition, a year like this, where disease is setting in because of the not excessive amount of moisture everywhere, but certainly we've had a very moist year, and we're hearing this through a lot of the growing parts of the region, of the country, that is. All right, till next time, I'm Dave Mason. Thanks for being here with me and this special episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
That's a wrap for this episode of Cutting the Curve. Make sure to check out XtremeAg.farm for more great content to help you squeeze more profit out of your farming operation. This episode of the Cutting the Curve podcast is brought to you by BASF, creating innovation to help farmers do the biggest job on earth.